Or was this just another simulation? If he turned this switch, would it fire a braking rocket? Or would it just force a branch in the computer's program? He remembered childhood nightmares of sitting in the back seat of a moving, driverless car. 1 minute, Takahashi said. The volume washed over him like a lullaby. The blinking time display slowed as he watched, and the muscles in his shoulders and neck began to loosen. An attitude jet fired by the computer went off with a noise like a machine gun burst. Kane's heart stammered for a second, then recovered as his brain identified the sound. And then he was falling. The air of Mars whimpered and then screamed as the aeroshell started to burn. Kane's Valium calm vaporized, and he was sure he was going to die. He'd looked at death before, sometimes gone out of his way to see it, but he'd never had so little control over the outcome. He felt as if he'd been thrown out of a helicopter with a mountain tied to his back. His vision narrowed to a gray, viscous tube, and he prayed he wouldn't have to take manual control of the ship because he couldn't lift his arms back up to the keyboard. 1 minute, he thought. I only have to take this for 60 seconds. He tried to see the time readout on a CRT, but his eyes refused to focus. The screaming turned into a metal ice pick driving into Kane's ears. He fought for air, imagining his windpipe collapsing like a soda straw. His lungs burned and he tasted blood. He kept waiting for it to be over, and the pressure kept getting worse. He felt thumbs gouging his eyes, blood pumping into his feet like water into balloons. And then something stabbed him in the chest. A rib! I just lost a rib. He felt the second one break. At first it was just the pressure, focused, inexorable, bearing down over his heart. Then he felt the muscles ripping, and the sudden jerk as the bone snapped and bent inward. The pain knifed through his chest, and for a long moment his own scream melted inaudibly into the shriek of the burning shield. The G-forces pushed the broken bones deeper into his flesh. He wanted to pass out, but the pain was too intense. He could visualize the points of the ribs, the claws of some giant rock from mythology digging deep into his heart, killing him. And for nothing, he thought. For a rescue mission that's 10 years too late and too screwed up to do any good anyway. A broken-down ship full of losers raving across 40 million miles to add their dead, burned bodies to the corpses of the Martian colonists. He was convinced that something had gone wrong. The computers had lost control, and the ship was obviously dropping straight out of the sky like a meteor. The deceleration had gone on an impossibly long time, could only end in blazing ruin. And then the pressure fell away, and the gray tunnel closed down into darkness. When he opened his eyes again, the CRT showed that 2 minutes had elapsed since orbital insertion. They were weightless, and the air was stale and flatulent. Above the time hack, an irregular blue egg, dotted with 4 or 5 major craters, filled the screen. Deimos, Kane thought. They were alive then. In orbit around Mars. He sucked a careful breath through the hot bands of pain around his chest. He could hear the ship creak softly as it cooled, the rattle of an off-balance fan in the vent over his head. "Kane," Lena's voice. He managed a grunt in reply. "Keep still," she told him. He knew that. They weren't even supposed to try to move for 2 hours. "Broke something," he managed. "Ribs." "Oh, Christ. Any blood? From the lungs, I mean." He wasn't sure. He had blood in his throat, but it could have been from his nose, which was still blowing a fine red mist when he exhaled. He couldn't seem to sustain any serious interest in the source of the bleeding. It was nothing compared to the shrapnel fragment that had opened the back of his skull near Dongola and left him nearly helpless between bouts of surgery. Now he was tired of complications, of moods, of dealing with Lena. He felt like a coiled spring that had been carrying a maximum load for 9 months, the strain building beyond all tolerance levels, the coils starting to fray and shift out of line. "Don't worry about it," he said. "I can manage." "I'll get to you when I can," Lena said. "Anybody else?" "I'm all right," Takahashi said. "Reese is still out." Of course Takahashi had come through, Kane thought. 3 to 5 hours every day at the